And now I'm going to explain to you both what a caucus is. So a caucus generally is when a mediator would call upon this to both of you. And a caucus is me asking for personal one-on-one time to talk to one of the parties. By doing this, I feel as if we can facilitate the mediation in a direction where we can hear the side of the story from this party compared to having both parties present and one person not disclosing as much information that they normally would if it was just them talking to me, the mediator. So if I was to call upon a caucus, the other party that would initially go out will wait outside until our caucus is over, and I will let you guys know who I would like to caucus with first. And to be fair, we would like to caucus with both people, so you will also have the time to talk with me one-on-one if a caucus is called. So if you guys have any questions about caucus, I would greatly like to hear them as well. And personally, I know that sometimes the mediator is meant to call the caucus, but I want you guys to feel as if you have the right to call a caucus too. So if at any time there is something on your mind which you feel you would like to disclose personally with just me, the mediator, that you feel might necessarily facilitate the mediation and help us gain a better understanding of what exactly is going on, then please request a caucus, either one of you. And hopefully, if you guys are willing, then we will have an agreement to where the person will be respected that called upon the caucus. So if one of you guys needs to talk one-on-one for a time, we'll be polite and respectful and understanding to that. Thank you. Then there's one thing that I'd like to explain regarding confidentiality. The thing with caucuses is whenever I'm to talk one-on-one with either party, anything said in that caucus will remain within that caucus unless the party was to tell me specifically that they want that information to be disclosed to the other side. This is me as a mediator keeping the promise that what is said between us stays between us. So it's going to stay that way. Thank you guys. And now I would like to read both of you the mediation consent form, and you guys will agree to sign this if you're willing to do this, which is court ordered. So I'll read it to you. I understand that all files and notes of our mediation and its mediators are confidential. There are exceptions to this rule. A mediator can be compelled to testify about the mediation in cases involving juvenile abuse, neglect, or dependency, abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a disabled adult, disciplinary proceedings before the NC State Bar, felony trials, and criminal acts, violence, or threats of violence made during the mediation that endanger a person or property. If the parties reach agreement, we will forward the dismissal form to the district attorney once applicable fees are paid. I agree that I will not hold our mediation services responsible for any agreements made or failure to reach an agreement during this mediation. I understand that mediators are neutral parties and cannot give legal advice or assist in a case. I further understand that mediators will give no opinion regarding the legal effect of this consent to mediation or any agreement that is reached as a result of the mediation. If I have a legal question, I may request a continuance of the mediation in order to consult with an attorney of my choice. I understand that the mediators and staff have judicial immunity from any civil action except the case of willful or wanton neglect. I understand that weapons and physical conflict are not permitted during the mediation. I also understand and agree that the mediation retains the rights to report any crimes committed on the premises. And that is our consent form. It somewhat went over some of the ground rules that I gave earlier and some of the exceptions to when I will disclose any confidentiality. But if you guys need to read over this as well, then please take your time reading this and then sign. Thanks. And finally, before we begin our mediation, I would like to go over a few ground rules. So the ground rules that we all must agree upon are that one person speaks at a time. We don't want to keep interrupting each other. We don't want to be disrespectful to another person who is trying to keep their mind open and disclose their information. And you guys are meant, another ground rule is that you guys are meant to talk to me initially. So before you guys really get deep within your own conversations to one another, you should initially disclose your information to me, the mediator. That way I can help facilitate the process. Then another ground rule is that there's no weapons, which you signed your consent form seeing that there was no weapons. So if either of you have any weapons now, it would be a great time to hand those over. Oh, okay. Thank you. And now we need all cell phones off. So if you happen to possess a cell phone, you must turn it off. Which, if you guys would like to, we can also put that in the table so we ensure that they're gone and that they're not really there to distract us within the mediation. Oh, okay, thank you, sir. Then we will be very respectful and polite to each other during the mediation. Please try to hold back any intense feelings in which you would really think that these would hurt the other party. Try to put yourself in the shoes of the other person before you say something too, because you both have different perspectives as to what has happened. But we are trying to be polite, and ultimately this mediation will go a lot smoother if everything is like really good between us and have a good relationship between us all. Thank you. And is there any other questions between you two? Okay, let's